Welcome all to the latest edition of Retro Gamer Nation. This episode is the November 2019 edition of our Commodore 64 Round Up, where we take a look at some of the more notable recent releases on the scene. This month we start off by taking a look at Ice Blocks Plus, a game originally released by Carl Hornell as a free download in early 2018, and which has just received a physical release from Cytronic Software. Ice Blocks Plus is a Pengo style game that sees you control Pixel Pete with the aim to collect gold coins trapped in ice. You push ice blocks around to snuff out the fire monsters roaming around the screen, and once you've collected all the gold coins, you move on to the next challenging screen. As an old school arcade experience, it is hard to fault Ice Blocks Plus, as long as you don't expect too much from it. It's very simple to pick up and play, and it features some great colourful graphics and bouncy vintage arcade style music. Digital Monastery has released Arcadeanoid, a breakout style game coded by Arturo Dente. While containing your standard features for a game of its type, Arcadeanoid looks to differentiate itself from your traditional breakout style game by including a rudimentary introduction cutscene which sets up a semi-story element to the game. From a pure breakout style game perspective, the game lacks a little polish, with overall gameplay being a little slow as it feels like you're waiting around too long for the ball to come back to you. The hit detection mechanism is a little off, and controlling your bat is not as responsive as you'd like it to be. From time to time, mysterious pills will come down for you to collect, some of which will lead you into a sub-game where, if successfully completed, will give you a reward such as a bonus life. This is quite a nice touch to the game, but I would have liked them to occur less often, as they can disrupt the primary game action a little too much. The game features 4 different worlds, but the only difference among them appears to be just cosmetic. This is a decent effort by the developer that has potential if the motivation to work on it further is there. Now let's go back and take a quick look at the November 1988 edition of Zzap 64 magazine. This edition is noteworthy as it's the first issue where the Amiga title was included as part of the magazine's masthead. Anyway, let's take a look at some of the high-scoring games covered in this issue. And here's one that didn't get rated so highly. Moving on to the Zzap reader chart, this month's top 5 are Next up is Dragon Acre, released by Commodore Spain. Dragon Acre is a vertical scrolling shooter featuring 5 levels and an on-screen target crosshair for you to use to shoot at enemies. If you're looking at this video footage of the game thinking that it looks like a SEAC game, well, it is. However, the game actually does play better than it looks. The twist with the shooter mechanics does make this game a bit more engaging compared to your standard SEAC shooter. But controlling the target crosshair in a single game experience does take a bit of getting used to, and I never really felt in control of the crosshair. As a result, I spent more time moving my dragon around so that the crosshair covered the enemies rather than trying to control the crosshair itself. There is the ability to play co-op, where one player controls the dragon and the other the target scope. I have no doubt that the game is far more fun in this mode. Just a pity I have no friends to try this out. Next up, we have Rocket and Roll, another SEAC shoot 'em up by Richard Bayless. I still think that Richard's strongest games are outside of the scrolling shoot 'em up genre, and there is not too much to say about this other than it plays like a SEAC game. Oh well. So what has come through RGN HQ over the past few weeks? First up, I have 2 physical carts from The Future Was 8-Bit, Ms. Rodman and Super Gotron. The carts are shorter than those you get from other game publishers, and they come in a simple but nicely designed cardboard sleeve. Next, I have the physical card edition of Vegetables Deluxe from Double Sided Games. The outside packaging is very well produced, while inside we have the user manual and the card itself. It all looks quite good, but I would like to see some sort of insert to hold the card in place. Moving along, we have the Cartridge Expander 1X from Polyplay. This expansion card slots into your cartridge port and allows you to insert your game carts vertically down. The card has a reset switch and 4 feet to keep everything stable. Now you may be asking why I've purchased a single slot expansion. Well, first of all, I don't have the space or the need to accommodate a 3 or 4 slot expansion card, but the main reason for me buying this is to use with my Ultimate 64 machine. You see, I recently found out that some weaker or softer metal material has been used as pins in the Ultimate's cartridge slot. And when you insert the cards that do not have beveled PCB edges, like the games I just showed you, then you run the risk of damaging the pins if you're not careful. So I use the expander card to minimize any damage to my Ultimate 64. And finally, we have a couple of annuals that have come through the mail. Here we have the Zzap 64 annual, featuring 120 pages of reviews, features and interviews. It's very well produced and feels great quality. It's a nice historic record of new generation C64 games, many of which have been covered in RGN over the past 24 months. The second publication is the 8-Bit Annual, featuring 228 pages of new generation games across multi-platforms, including quite an extensive list of C64 games. And if you're ever curious of what I look like, here is a picture of me within the annual. To finish off this episode, let's take a look at two of the strongest submissions to the Halloween Game Dev Competition 2019. First, we have Luna, mostly developed by Simon Jamison during a 13-hour coding marathon. Luna is an endless horizontal shooter that sees you control your witch on a broomstick and shooting down wave after wave of bad things. This small little game moves about very well and features some nice graphics and music. My pick of the competition would be Get Witchy, a single button endless flyer game where you need to guide your witch to pick up as many Halloween candies as possible without getting hit by ghouls or hitting any edge of the screen. Pressing the joystick button applies thrust which moves your witch in a downward right diagonal direction. As soon as you let go of the button, the wind draft lifts up your witch, blowing her back in an anti-clockwise direction. It's such an interesting control mechanic. I very much like the graphics and the sound is quite good, except that it can get quite annoyingly broken up every time you apply thrust. Nevertheless, this is one addictive game developed by Magic Eric for Digital Monastery. Hope you enjoyed this month's roundup and I appreciate your support. Until next time, bye for now.